Hello, and welcome to Construction Executives Professional Education Series. You have joined the webinar, How to Improve Financial Performance and Increase Your Capacity to Meet Today's Demanding Market. My name is Rachel Pelovitz, and I am the Senior Editor for Construction Executive, published by Associated Builders and Contractors. I will be serving as moderator of this presentation. Today's webinar is sponsored by NetSuite and Appficiency. Appficiency provides exceptional software consulting and product development services to companies running SaaS-based systems with a focus on NetSuite. Services include professional services for implementations, integrations, other ERP-related projects, and ongoing expert administration services to a customer base of large and small businesses. Where other firms focus on ideas, documentation, and linear delivery methods, Appficiency prides itself on out-of-the-box thinking for a more evolved approach through a uniquely developed predict and test methodology. Clients benefit from exceptional business acumen, in-depth industry experience, and expert application knowledge. Appficiency is a NetSuite Alliance partner and is recognized as the winner of NetSuite's 2022 Alliance Partner Spotlight Award for the construction industry. Now I'd like to introduce our speakers, Johnny Than and Morteza Hosseini. As CEO and founder of Appficiency, Johnny Than brings over 30 years of corporate IT experience from networking to client applications to current business enterprise applications. He's consulted and delivered over 300 successful projects, focusing on mid-market and Fortune 500 companies, and leads the continued growth of Appficiency's team and their focus on the construction industry. Morteza has 20-plus years of experience in IT and construction industries and 12 years of experience teaching 50-plus courses in construction management. He has successfully led the implementation of more than 350 construction ERP projects and trained more than 5,000 individuals. Today, Morteza lends his experience to the ongoing development of Appficiency's construction solutions and oversees the delivery of implementation projects. And now I'll hand it off to Johnny.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Hopefully everyone can see me on the cam as I look left to catch up. It's a real pleasure to have a chance to speak with all of you today. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague Morteza, who we will be interactively going through this presentation with you today, and we hope that you get a ton of value out of it. As the title of the webinar suggests, we're here to talk about why the construction industry is ripe for operational improvement. I think many of you on this call might know, but to get a better sense of you guys in the beginning, we're going to start actually with a little bit of interactive polls. I believe that knowing your audience obviously will help us tailor some of our content to you and some of our discussion points and spend a bit more time on the points more relevant to you. So if everyone could please begin the poll with simply just telling us what type of business best describes your company. Are you a general contractor? That's A. A self-performer? That's B. A subcontractor? That's C. A land developer? That's D. And design/build is E. If you are more than one of these, which many of you might be, please feel free to choose the one that you feel might be your greatest area of improvement. Thanks so much, Rachel. Do you have the results of the poll for us?
48% have chosen general contractor, 5% have chosen self-performer, 33% of attendees are subcontractors. We have 14% design build and no land developers today.
All right, excellent. Thank you, that tells us a lot. I think to start with, let's talk about the construction industry as a whole, give you guys some idea of why we think this particular industry is ripe for the operational improvement and how that's going to help you achieve your financial goals as well. One of the things that's really odd and yet interesting about the construction industry is that given it's been around for a very long time, it is highly underserved when it comes to enterprise resource planning. For those that are not familiar with the term, ERP is a broad term. It generally means the business systems that connect your operational data with your financial data, and ultimately let you transact the commercial elements of your business. People do often confuse ERP with other types of software systems. And by all means, there's many solid and very large productivity software that you can use in certain applications in the field. Examples that we call that field service, customer management, we call it CRM, e-commerce, we'd call it e-commerce, project management, we'd call that PSA, etc. But ERP is generally considered to be the commercial backbone of your business, and that type of software is particularly adopted by companies as they roll out from small size into the medium and mid-market. The global construction industry, interestingly, is a large part of the general GDP of the world, around 13%. But we see the growth only about 1%, whereas the world economy is growing a little bit faster, despite the size of the construction industry. And ultimately, this means that there's real room for improvement. The delta between that 1% and that 2.8% might seem like a small number, but when you think about the operational improvement being 50 to 60% potentially to your bottom line, it's a massive improvement. The global construction software market, ironically, was valued at US 1.8 billion and is forecasted to reach 3.6 in about 10 years. That means that a lot of people are paying attention here, and that means good news for you. For a lot of you on this webinar, there's going to be software choices to be made, and software in general has been an accelerator of business growth. And if you look at broadly across many industries, typically just prior to IPOs, just prior to major financial events for businesses, software is sort of the most commonly created activity by the business to shore up its operations and to prove that it's matured and that it's efficient. As a simple example, the USA COVID Relief Fund allocated nearly $1 trillion just to the construction industry, and we expect a good chunk of that to be spent on systems. And of course, as you go upscale, there's increasingly large requirements for large-scale projects and large-scale project management. We're going to go into that quite a bit today. For all the GCs that are on the call, for the self-performers that are on the call, this matters a lot. And of course, not to ignore the design firms that also showed up. By all means, all of them matter, but this large-scale project management is the crux of the primary problem in this industry, and is particularly relevant to those self-performers and to the GCs. So, as we look at the construction challenges, I'd like to engage Morteza now in this discussion and have him really help us understand, why construction companies are behind other industries for financial controls and operational capacity management. It doesn't seem like they should be. They're very formalized, right, Morteza? In a lot of the codes they use, they have real. If you ask somebody what is best practice, they'll tell you, and they'll give you a very good list of things that make up best practice. And yet we see that they are behind in some of these financial controls and operational efficiencies and workflows. Can you describe a bit of that why?
Absolutely, but prior to that, hi everyone. Excited to be here and looking forward to having a great conversation and collaboration with you guys. I think the short answer is we are too busy. It's a fast-paced environment, and there are a couple of reasons. To be honest with you, I think although construction is one of the oldest industries among the globe, we usually see the way that we grow is you start with two guys knowing some work about construction, starting with some reno work or maintenance work, and then they get more demands and they grow. So that's technically how they grow up, right? And the other aspect, I was not kidding when I said we are busy. So in a typical construction project, and I'm talking about general contractors, right? So in a medium-sized project, you are looking for having 20 to 30 different vendors working on your project. Each of them would require some level of interactions in terms of their contract, in terms of their invoices, the changes to their scope. And as you go through the project, you need to transfer all those concerns and all those conversations to your customer. So the GC really sitting in the middle of, dealing with the subcontractors, suppliers, and the customers. And there are just lots of moving parts around. And these are just on the commercial side. So you think about now you need to execute the project according to the drawings and making sure that what you are building is match the drawing, the clarifications that you might need. There are lots of things to, cope with. And of course, at the end of the day, yes, we do have some industry standards that would need to be considered. In managing construction projects, you are really looking at 10 different areas, right? Like whoever knows about PMBOK and the methodology of the project management, you are looking at a scope, time, cost, quality, managing your resources, procurement, managing the risk, stakeholders. And each of them, you will see that there are some standards to comply with. So it's a very sophisticated industry, and there are lots of departments and lots of different skill sets required.
Morteza, do you want to talk about the change management a little bit? Because at this point, after this, I'd love to take it back to the audience and ask them one more question here.
Absolutely. That's actually where I started. I said, we don't have enough time, right? We are too busy. And the problem is, if you are too busy, knowing you are doing, most likely all your works in Excel spreadsheet, not talking to, your accounting system, and this is really hard to manage and change. Plus, no offense, I'm also coming from construction. We rely on the skills other than education. So majority of the people that we deal with, they might not be tech savvy. They might not be used to even use technology. I remember you challenged the construction compared to the other industries. Like if you look at health, education, you are dealing with lots of professional, educated people that most of the time they are tech savvy. But that's not the case with, with construction. So we need to understand that element as part of the change management.
I love it. So let's test your theory with the audience, guys. We're going to go to another poll. And Rachel, if you don't mind running this one for us, the question for everybody is, do you have an integrated accounting or finance / an ERP type system and project management solution today? Now, there's a word "and" in there, so yes or no. If you can look at your systems and say, yep, we got a system that's managing our projects from field to office and accounting for it correctly with all the subs and vendors going on in that project, then you got a yes. And if you can't, or if you're missing one of those big pieces, you would answer no.
Okay. 62% of the audience, Johnny, said yes, and 38% has said no.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Rachel. So that's not bad, guys. That's pretty good coverage, but there's still a large chunk of you that don't have it. I think it will be fun on another webinar to ask you guys what those systems are. But the reality is that without these systems, you cannot effectively do that change management. You cannot take your company from, maybe not as tech savvy as you'd like, to leveraging technology to help you. And so when we look at the construction process needs that are in the market, they really fall down into several major categories. And so we've put them on the sheet here. I'd like to pose Morteza to ask the question, really, if we look at the most common construction process needs, and of course we have some design firms here, 14%, 33% are self-performers. The GC, maybe they behave like the self-performer, but we have a role for them. What in their systems is the thing that really moves the needle for them? If it's billing and AR and AP, why? If it's job costing, why? So Morteza, if you can just help us with that. I think although everyone understands that they do these things and they have that, hey, there could be software out there that can help them, they don't often think about that's process is dependent on many other processes. And so if you don't actually have software that connects well, you're still creating another silo. You're just making a deeper, faster silo. So if you could just talk about how these operational processes are dependent upon each other, that'd be appreciated.
Absolutely. So I would start with one word, which is integration. As long as it's important to understand the features that we need or what we need to do to run a construction business, which I'm pretty sure everyone knows a construction company would require estimating. But the point here is, do we have an integrated solution that your estimating talks to your procurement talks to your accounting, and so on. So a typical process really starts with CRM, which is identifying your customers or your future customers, managing your relationship with the customers. You see this kind of needs with the land dev and design firm. And imagine if you have those data, by the time that you award the project or you want to turn a prospect to an actual customer, now you have that data. So it's beneficial if your system is integrated, meaning your CRM now talks to your ERP. So estimating, many of the people either using the CSI codes or using their own code. That doesn't really matter. What matters is, again, integration, because it's almost impossible to manage a project without understanding how much did I have in my budget, how much I estimated this project for, and what am I doing right now compared to that budget. Now, at the complexity of the different types of contracts that you have, if it's fixed bid, cost plus, that estimating matter. That's technically the start point for a project, in a way that you send your bid, your quote to the customer, and then if you won the deal, you will rely on that estimate. So GCs, subs, self-performers, design field, it's just a matter of the level of the details. GC might have more details, subs less, or design field less, but they all have estimating. Procurement, don't see that on the design side much, but for the GC and subs, making sure that your subcontractor, your supplier, the contract that you sign with, the budget that you're going to spend from that initial estimate is somewhere in the system, and you can see what's going on with your budget utilization. And of course, every month, your vendors would bill you. You also bill your customer. Again, very common need between GC, subs, and design firm. What is important as you go through the project is how to cope with all these changes. There are tons of documents, there are tons of processes that you need to follow from the moment that a change initiated either by the customer or by an RFI, up to the point that it's approved, and now it would impact your budget, it would impact your AR, your AP, and of course, all the reports that you have. So on this front, job costing is the key for all the businesses. Why? Because job costing is simply integrating all different pieces. It will show you how much was your original budget, your approved change order, how much you have in your budget to spend, the commitment that you made, your actual cost, your actual revenue. So without job costing, you wouldn't have that visibility on your project, right? And when we are talking about project management or site management, we are talking about some, I would say, features around drawing management, around RFI, submittal, transmittal, and all those fun stuff that we would require in order to run the project. Now, these are the needs, but I want everyone to think about it. Although we need all these things, what is the importance of having an integrated system that all these things are talking to each other and connected to each other? That's what I could share with you guys.
I think that's a great question, Morteza, and it leads nicely into our next topic, really, which is, anyone who's ever tried to manage a project with Excel, the first project seems awesome. The first part seems great. You're like, why do I need any other system? Excel does the job great. Then you get your first change. And then you realize, oh, that change has a dependency on another change. 10, 12, 50 changes later, that Excel spreadsheet looks horrible. You don't even know where to start anymore, how to finish it up. And so really, I think, especially as IT professionals, we get asked all the time, how many systems should I have? How many systems does it take to know your profitability? And I think the right way to look at those columns of process needs that this audience that you guys have is to look at it as a stack. And then if you take that, that huge sandwich kind of thing and collapse it down into more manageable set of layers, we're really primarily looking at finance, billing, estimating and bid management, job costing, project management, procurement, site, all of that to move into three primary concepts: back office, front office, and site/field. Now, the needs are diverse within it, but what is really important is the word integrated. Now, integrated can mean many things to many people. For some people, integrated means implementation. For others, integrated means one system is, downloading a file, and the other system is sucking that file up and integrating and using that data to process the next step. Other people, that means software is talking to software, and it's just like I put something online really fast, and anyone live in the other field can get it. That is another level of integration, often for the SaaS or software as a service-based applications that are already in the cloud in the first place. When you look at these three, back office, front office, site, and field, those diverse needs but key commonalities, Morteza, what is the key data structures? What is the key data models that need to go back and forth between these three things? For me, one of the things that I learned as I got into the construction industry was this work code concept or activity code. That was a big one. What do you think is for this audience going to be a juicy takeaway that they can kind of go looking for improvements to their shared data model in these three categories?
Very, very interesting question. This just reminded me of those days that I was working in construction and, of course, running my projects in Excel. And the number of times I had to call the accounting team and ask them, what is my, actual cost today? They could tell me what is my actual cost, but because we really didn't have an integrated job costing in a way that we use the same codes, I could just have the visibility at the project level. not knowing if I'm actually making money on a specific item or I'm losing money. It was just at the project level, yeah, you're making money. No other information. So I would start with definitely, the having a united or having a master list for your job codes, which is you use it for your estimating, you use it for your procurement with the vendors, you use it for your accounting and also your customer. The other thing that many of you guys should hear is like the AIA standards, right? So uh, many of times, not only the contractors love to use that format, but also customers would dictate using the AIA format. And funny enough, AIA is not just limited to G702, G703 that we use for the general contractors. Subcontractors, they have their own version. You can even get a change order format for AIA. So it's more of having a standard system. And now integration, as much as important is important, we need to ask this question: what is the value, or what are the components of our current estate needs to be integrated? Because integration is not a simple thing to have. And now, do we need to, integrate our site to the front office, our front office to the back office, and everything should be integrated? Or we want to go with a phased approach in a way that, oh, let's fix one thing at a time. So that's what I can share with the team. And to me, the commercial part is, or the financial part is a priority. And you cannot get to that point without integrating your estimating, your procurement, and your finance systems.
I think that's really great feedback here, Morteza. And if I can sum it up for those in the audience, what we're actually telling you is that these key features and the way that they talk to each other is what you should look for if you want to find operational improvements in your business, if you want to establish better financial controls. Don't go looking for a great UI. That's not what's needed here. Don't go looking for a great CRM. Not really needed. These are the key things that you have to establish first. Then, by all means, go get some bells and whistles. But if you really want good insight on what to spend your money on, where to go fix first, this is your list. And I think that's really important for folks to understand. These lists are not just about talking about your problems. This is the list. This is the list, less all the other noise that you might want to go procure. I can't tell you how many times we've had construction companies come to us and say, I really need a better payroll system. And the first question, of course, is why? And sure enough, it's because they think their job costing is not right. Well, that's not actually a payroll system problem. It's actually a job costing integration problem. And so as we look at what we can do better, we wanted to give you guys a little bit of some key trends that are shaping that construction business. I think that the needs out there are pretty easy to state, and if we were to pick some of the big ones, you'll see that job profitability and cash flow real time, that's important. Morteza talked about the problems he had many years ago, and hopefully he doesn't have them anymore. Digital capture of information and images. Everyone knows that this is possible, but not everyone seems to be able to use it. Access to all players and common data models, we just talked about it. You are going to have more than one system. That is just the world that you're going to be in. And so the question is, what do you need to focus on when you set those systems up so that they have room to grow and flex as your business changes? Morteza, can you speak to some of the impacts on these 4 categories for construction companies?
Absolutely. Like, what's the point of running a business? That's the new number 1, right? If you are not profitable, just go enjoy your time with your family, man. Like, why you wanna, you know, run a construction business? So having that visibility is a must, and not only for your current project, but also for the future. You learn from experience, right? It would drive even your strategy. Oh, on this project, I hire a contractor. I lost money on concrete item. Next project, maybe I need to do make or buy analysis and see if I can actually do that internally, or should I invest on that item. Digital capture, like, guys, this is the in 21st century. This, we are not living in a pen and paper kind of environment. You need to capture the information, and you need to have access to those information from anywhere. So unlimited data, having a document management system, having cloud-based solutions are the things that you might hear when you're looking for a different ERP solution. There is a reason for that. Like, you can't really just not have access to your data real time. And construction project is not running by one person or by one team. As we discussed, there are lots of different parties involved. So providing access to all the players and making sure that they are involved with what you are doing in your projects and provide their input to the system is highly recommended and impactful. And of course, the last but not least is a common data model. This is literally what we discussed. Make sure that internally, all the departments, they have common language, which could be through define or predefine cost codes. It could be based on the processes that you define, and so on.
I think that's great. Great insight there, Murtaza. Thank you. I will tell you as a technologist that a lot of people will be reluctant to adopt the system because they're trying to be perfect in their preparation for it. The good news, folks, is that in this day and age, you can be a little messy. So if your data is a little messy but you start tracking it, your work codes are not quite fully unified yet, your job code's still got a little bit of work to do, it's okay. Just start tracking something. And that consistency will come out of it. Once you get consistency, you'll get speed, you'll get efficiency, and you'll get much cleaner handoffs. And when you get cleaner handoffs, people start to make better decisions. So it affects you in many, many ways. And that's what we see all the time with the ERP evolution over time. That's what you see with any software evolution over time, is really that you get very comfortable at it, you get very good at it, and all of a sudden, it's almost like everybody got a little bit better at their own job too in it. And that's really important. So it's nice because in this day and age, software is good enough that you can be a little messy with it and still get benefits out of it, and then continue to refine it later and get more consistency and benefit of it later. So good before perfect, I think, is a great motto to have. Now, to make sure that everyone is still staying with us, I'd like to just ask you guys on another poll. Rachel, if you could help me run this one, please. How long does it take for you to get a project profitability report today?
So 40% have said real time, 33% have said 1 to 3 days, 20% have said 4 to 10 days, 7% have said more than 10 days, and 0% have said it's not possible.
That is excellent news. I think overall, 40% of real time is, if you had run this poll 10 years ago, that number would have been in the single digits. And so to see it picking up steam is great. Now is to have the feedback in that job report, job profitability, really be accurate. So But the progress is fantastic to see. Maybe our stats are a little behind with this particular group because you guys are specifically subscribers to this magazine. As we want to continue through, so we'd like to try to give you guys a little bit of insight on what's really the best practice and what are the key areas to focus on for each of your business types. I know we have no land developers on the call, so we're going to move through this one fairly quickly. It'll catch us up on time a little bit as well. But for the sake of the recording, for anybody that accesses it later, I think I'd just like to talk very quickly about the most common financial need, the primary capacity constraint, and then the top system need. So Murtaza, do you want to maybe go through this one a little bit quickly, and then we'll get to both of the audience?
One of the things that I would like to add in terms of the result of our pool is, although it's great, but it's not great to see that 60% still they don't get a real-time report. So going back to the land developers and the importance of, in terms of their financial need, the intercompany relationship and the cash flow, it is a must, because this is type of an investment company who needs to understand what are the needs in terms of cash to be spent and cash in the bank account. So you don't have that visibility real time. We have a real problem here, because you might face to so many pauses, because as soon as you don't pay your contractor, they will say, oh, sorry, overdue payment. So we would pause the projects. And top system need is providing access to all the players. They have like this structure very similar to a customer, to a client, right? They don't really do many of the work by themselves. So it's important to provide the access to all the players. And yeah, it's a very interesting topic to discuss, specifically when they have a construction manager involved to run the project on their behalf.
Let's talk about our largest bulk of the audience here, the GCs. So the GCs and GCs hiring subs specifically, you know, we talk about this job costing need so much. Clearly, a lot of people know they need it. Many of them have it. How will this, you know, how will focusing on this continue to improve their life?
So I will go back to the reason number one for justifying a business. You need to make money. Majority of the projects that GCs are involved are fixed price bid. Customers just love the fixed bid contract. Why? Because simply the risk would be transferred to the general contractor. So now that it's so crucial to make money and stay on top of your budget, you would understand and appreciate how important it is to get the job costing. To really understand at each activity level where you stand. Are you out of budget? Did you committed more than you budgeted for? What is your forecast? What is your actual cost? And so on. That's the only way that you can understand if you're actually making money or you are losing money. And then the other challenge is, although, like imagine a GC going to a contract and say, customer, this is a fixed price contract, the impact of the price changes. And the visibility that you need to have around, oh, last year I could buy concrete, you know, or at the time that I quoted this project, I could get the concrete at this price. Now, good luck getting that price anymore. So again, real-time information is the top system need, and I would vote for job costing as the first most common financial need, and this is the reason, really.
Thank you very much, Murtaza. I know I made a little bit of fun of some companies that came to us looking for payroll, but for self-performers, truly it is one of the most common needs. And so the most common financial need is to understand their payroll really well, especially in this day and age. People coming on and off jobs, can't find people that even want to do any work. It's definitely a little challenging. And when we think about the primary capacity constraints being that allocation of resources and the productivity of them, obviously, the productivity we can't help you as much with, but at least we can tell you, the systems can help you tell you what's going on. But the allocation being important. So really focuses around resource and resource management. Why would that be so much, Marteza? And if you don't mind as well, help us describe what's the difference between, hey, here's a system, here's some payroll, here's a project management tool, off you go. What's the difference between that and being really good at this?
So in order to answer this question, first we need to be clear about who are self-performers. Self-performers, it could be a general contractor, it could be, a subcontractor, it could be even a design build company. The key point here is we are using our own resources in order to execute the project instead of hiring subcontractors. So if you are relying on your own resources to execute the project, you will now understand why payroll is such a key component, because all you have is you just purchase material and you have your team to use those material to build a mansion or hospital or whatever is that project about. So that's why with the self-performance, payroll is so crucial. And of course, when you are relying on your own resources, understanding their productivity, understanding how to allocate them, how many resources do you need compared to your project schedule, compared to the amount of the work that needs to be done and the volume of the work. So that become a very important capacity to have. And for that reason, we would say the top system need would be resource management in a way that resource management is not also limited only to your human resource. Self-performers, they might have even their own equipment or heavy machinery, like depends on the type of the project you're talking about, infrastructure projects or highway. These are valuable and expensive resources that you need to manage them wisely. You cannot just keep some loaders and bulldozers on your job site for the sake of, oh, I might need them here or there. No. You need to have a proper plan here. You need to understand what is your schedule, link your resources to your schedule, and so on. That's the important.
So it's a pretty complex need. It's not, although the output is hopefully simplified, the need is very complex. I can see that. Hopefully those in the audience can see it too. Thank you for that commentary. Last, we wanted to go to the design firms. Now, I got to tell you, all the design firms I've worked with over the years, very often they feel like a manufacturer in some ways, and I think that's what's kind of neat about design firms. They are kind of these chameleons that can be many things. So when we look at all the many things they can be, is that why job costing needs to be more customizable for them? Is that why they need to have more integration to CAD and other type of takeoff, level of information? What is it, Marteza?
So let's go back to the initial conversation that we had around construction companies and how they form. Many of the designing firms, they start with some engineers that they are great in providing the design, either architectural or structural, and that's their focus. But as you go through the team development and you deal with different customers and they see how capable you are, they might ask you a simple question. You design it, can you also build it for me? And the answer usually is yeah. So why not? That's how we can grow our business. So they might start with joint venturing to a GC, and then down the road they become a design build firm, right? That's how they grow. So now understanding that, you depends which stage of development you are looking at. Their job costing has to be customized. When you are a pure design firm, you don't really need to track your commitments, because you don't really hire a bunch of suppliers to give you material. You are just dealing with drawings and so on. But when you become a design build firm, it's important to also have your commitment involved. And I can give you lots of other examples, but that's the importance of having a customizable job costing. And in terms of the design and build integration, now, if we understand the importance of this business growth, this integration is a key. Right now, we are not talking about only integration between design and build in a way that, hey, my CAD drawing needs to be connected to my ERP solution. So the people on site can have access while they are, creating a purchase order for my supplier. It's not farther. We are talking about BIM, which is building information models, and it's a new era. It's not about just the drawing, the 2D drawing. It's about the 3D modeling. Is about even adding your estimating to that model. And of course, with such a sophisticated system that you need, again, the real-time information is important. Plus, even if you focus on the designing portion, all the changes that you make on the let's say your mechanical drawing, if you don't have real-time information, you might end up having a duct going through a column or beam that your structural designer designed. So you need, now you see why the real-time information matters.
Marcelo, that was great insight into it. I know from all the folks on the call, they appreciate your insight into the many types of construction companies that exist, their needs in both software. Really, though, the benefit everyone's trying to get to is how do we become more operationally efficient? How do we improve our capacity? And how do we improve our financial controls and financial performance? It's been a pleasure hosting all of you today. Thank you so much for your time. Please do feel free to take a look at either the Efficiency or the Oracle NetSuite sites. We are market makers, and we have done a lot of work in this space. We love talking to construction companies all day long. Give us a call. There's plenty of people doing some amazing things out there. We'd love to connect you with them as well. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so we have some very strong questions for our Q&A here. Starting off, is there one thing that you would suggest is the most important aspect to control for improved financial performance?
That's a very tricky question. I would like to take this one, if you don't mind, Jenny.
Absolutely.
I think integration between your accounting, project management, and estimation system is the key driver. Whenever you are looking at a job cost report or job costing, which we are really talking a lot these days about, you see your estimators, your procurement or project managers, and your accounting team are working together towards getting all those pieces managed, but integrating them together would provide you the most value. So, and again, it could be different based on the type of the businesses, but for the GC subs, that's the number one thing. So this means I'm talking to the 60% of the audience that we have here who doesn't have a real-time job costing.
Thank you, Morteza. What recommendations do you have for someone in the process or considering an evaluation of integrated software?
Why don't I take that one maybe? So recommendations when you're looking at an integrated software system, I will tell you that buyers that are doing this for the first time, people that haven't really gone through an ERP process, they focus very hard on seeing if the system does what they do today. And I will tell you that that's not the right way to buy it. And you will miss the integration problems by trying to do it the way you do it today. So look instead for, do you do this? And can you show this to me in one integrated demo? Can you show this to me in one fast movement? And does the data that I started with in my bid, is it still the same information that I'm reporting on the job profitability side later? So when you're looking for integrated software, the first thing is you need something that has a big financial footprint. We showed that slide with the sandwich layers coming down to 3. The thing you're going to care about the most is that back office first. It's unfortunate, but that's how this is. You got to get that right. Then you can tack on a front office, or maybe it's got a front office. Some ERPs are big enough that they absolutely have that, but you definitely need to kind of have both those two tackled first. Field always should come last, even as self-performers, because what will happen with the self-performers is they'll choose systems very much like a sales team. They'll choose systems that are really great for them in the field, and then they leave a mess at the back end. And what, although the field people matter the most in a self-performance world often, what'll happen is that information that's all messy at the back, that is not right, is not properly captured. The discipline is not in the field service application; it's actually in the back office. So then the back office tries to instill the discipline. They ultimately compromise the functionality of the field service by trying to apply discipline that it didn't have in the first place. So pick your back office first, then make sure your field service still supports the functions your field service needs, but supports your discipline that you need as at the back office and the commercial office really. That way your job costing and your profitability stays clean and clear. And of course, resourcing and resource management is also a lot easier because you can find body. It's just the question is that body costing you more money than you're earning off of it. So that would be my advice. Don't.
I would like to also add one other caveat here. So Johnny challenged the construction business. I'm going to challenge the IT business. So I think as much as it's important to understand what Johnny said, which is absolutely I'm aligned and is correct, it's also important to understand who is going to take care of your team while you are implementing that software. Are you going to be in a situation of educating them on your business, or you are going to deal with the team that they know the business and they can even share the best practices with you? And why I said I'm challenging the IT, because this is my experience as a construction guy, moved to IT 8 years ago. You would be surprised to see many of the IT companies who are implementing or forming their implementation team, they don't use the industry experts in their team. Therefore, the common language is not there. The deep understanding that you need on your businesses and the processes that you have is missing. And it doesn't matter how great is the software, or you can customize it in any way that you want. Having the right team, make sure that you always ask who is going to implement my, my solution.
Great point.
Thank you both. So next we have, this person has asked, changing systems usually means we have to change our processes. Are there some key things we should consider from a financial process perspective in terms of how to support the operation?
I'm gonna let Marteza answer that after I give a little bit of esoteric, abstract IT advice here on that particular one. I'll tell you that a lot of people, when they're implementing the software, they focus on, like, they're looking for best practice. Absolutely, how much of their current practice should they give up to adopt best practice? And I will tell you that there's really stacks of difficulty in IT, and it's important to understand the IT lingo a little bit when you venture in this space. You need this as good advice, right? It's kind of like you got to know a mechanic to understand how to deal with a mechanic. Same idea here. If you understand IT, presenting data is easy. Getting it fitting into a financial model that the system is already designed for, or a compliance model that the system's designed for already, that's the hard part. So get that done first. And if the presentation doesn't look exactly the way you're used to it, don't worry about it. You can improve data presentation in IT very, very easily. There's many systems that will do it. You can usually integrate really simply out of that as well if you need to. But what's hard is to get the core billing and commercial flow correct. So that's what I would suggest from an IT perspective. Knowing that, then when you look at your software, look at for that best practice. You want to see that the accounting is the best practice, not that necessarily it looks like your favorite colorized report. And Martez, I'll absolutely think it's worth your commentary too.
Of course, no. These are very, very valid points. So, to me, I would say work with your project managers. Try to make sure that the two system, if you have an integrated solution, or if you don't have, this is part of your process. Make sure these two are talking same languages. It absolutely drives me insane when I work with a company and the accounting team would tell me, guess what? Every single invoice that we receive from our vendors, we want to make sure that we have the right cost code. So we go back, we put a stamp on the AP invoice, we ask the project manager to put the code against each line. And I'm like, guys, this is so not efficient. And you do that when either your processes are not aligned, or you are actually living in two different islands. So please make sure that this is your first step, or whoever is on the call in accounting department, in finance department. You want to get to that performance, you need visibility. You can't just do this because lots of rooms to error, is not efficient. And that's my first advice to everyone.
We have a follow-up to that, which is, should we expect to change our finance process to accommodate the operation, or should it be vice versa?
I think that's a tough question. I'll take first strike, or maybe last strike at that. Make sure we get another question or two in. I think that's a tough question. You need some wisdom on that answer. It's not a broad-based brush. There are times you will want to modify to the software, and there are definitely times you want the software to fit you. It depends on how good your practice is today. Certainly, you want to look at end result. End result is what matters ultimately, anyways. There's change management, of course, but if you have the right end result, then it's usually worth the change effort. So broadly speaking, it does go either way, and you should get some good a good partner to give you some wisdom on that. And that one's an important decision too. So I don't think you can just give it a broad brush stroke.
Okay, that's all the questions we have today. If either of you want to provide some closing words, and then I'll say goodbye to our audience.
I think Martez and I can definitely say, we love construction. We love this space. There's so much room to do better, and there's so much good being done. It's a pleasure to speak to an audience like this.
Same here.
We would
Thank you
like
all.
to thank NetSuite and Appficiency for sponsoring the webinar, and we do also want to thank you, Johnny and Morteza, for sharing your experience and expertise. Thank you so much for your time and attention today.